Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. I am your host speaking, Vicky Midwood, and I am here today on a topic that I think is really quite interesting for a lot of us, especially in today's world where everything is about performance, hitting the next goal and achieve. And I would like to really talk about why we as humans want to embrace doing things just because they feel good without having an underlying reason to prove to ourselves or to somebody else that we are good enough. So I am the Human Health Optimizer, and welcome if you're new to the podcast, folks. I share all kinds of tips and just conversations with people who have overcome adversity by changing their mindset, by doing things differently to perhaps the advice they have been given by the conventional medical profession. And I also look at how we think and how we feel and our behavior. My emphasis is really on helping people to understand anxiety, but crucially how they function as humans. And we all are different, but we all have similar organs and some functions that are pretty much the same across the board. Now, language is a big thing, and acceptance is one of those words that I want to kind of delve into. So I'm going to be talking today really about a radical shift, if you like, simply doing things because they feel good. Now, I do a lot of work with people with body image issues, with anxiety, with ADHD. And you may have heard me share on past episodes that addiction and ADHD are kind of like bedfellows, and anxiety kind of jumps in as well. And a lot of the time we struggle particularly in today's world where there is so much available for us to see in terms of social media and what's been shown to us in films and on TVs, that we cannot help but compare ourselves a lot of the time. And we look around and it seems that everybody else is doing better than we are. And often that pushes us in a positive way to step up. If you're coming from a mindset of, well, if they can do it, so can I, fantastic. But if we're coming from a mindset of, well, they can do it and they're making it look so easy, why is it so hard for me? Then that's not necessarily beneficial. So what I'm talking about today really is doing things simply because they feel good, because I'm not wanting to get better or be thinner or be faster or be more successful or be more impressive. And if you have found that you seem to be consistently and continuously living your life pushing for the next win, and then when you get that win, kind of going, okay, but I could have done better, or what about the next one? Not even giving yourself the opportunity and the chance to actually congratulate yourself and commend yourself on the effort that you've put in and on the achievement. And so I want you to just be aware of how are you when it comes to the stuff that you actually do on a daily basis. And are you doing things? Do you throw yourself into things because you feel that you need to prove something to yourself, to other people, or to just stay at the level that you're at? So awareness is key for everything. And I think everybody knows this, but it is the foundation for health. It is the foundation for change. And awareness and acceptance are things that I work on a lot with people, because if you, for example, are somebody who has had a late diagnosis of ADHD, say you're in your 50s or your 60s, and you've got that late diagnosis, that's a heck of a thing to take on board and to accept. And there are a number of things that as we get older into the kind of the midlife years and beyond, that we are going to benefit from accepting rather than fighting. Now, when we're younger, we kind of think we're a bit invincible, that the rules are for other people and not necessarily for us. Quite a lot of times our ego takes over. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We need ego, and ego is not a bad thing. But it's how we mold it, how we shape it, how we utilize it that's important. And if it means that you're at war with yourself or in your head with other people, then it's not a great thing. And I'm here to help you to kind of stop that internal battle, that internal war. I want you to think about what it looks like and feels like to move your body just because it feels good, to exercise just because it's enjoyable, not because you're trying to lose weight or look a certain way or fit into a certain dress size. I want you to eat well. Why? Because you feel better for doing it. Your brain works better. Your gut feels happier. You have more energy. And I want you to rest. Right? Why? Because change happens, healing happens. Your body can reset and recharge. It can rebuild and renew when you rest. And so I'm really going to kind of talk about the difference between showing up for yourself and constantly performing for others. And I want to start off by really highlighting the power of awareness of what you're doing and why you are doing it. And this is just for you to answer the questions, right? Are you working out, for example, because you feel guilty, because you're trying to overcompensate for not eating great, because you missed a couple of gym sessions when you promised yourself you're going to do it and you didn't, therefore you're trying to make up? What is it that is your reason for doing what you're doing? Now, I'm using the gym as an example, but it could be anything. Because the first step to breaking free from feeling compelled to do things to prove yourself is to understand why we do what we are currently doing. And then we're going to look at the acceptance piece. Now, acceptance doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean that you just kind of throw the towel in and you just give up. That is not what acceptance means. Acceptance means that you are grown up enough to acknowledge reality. Not the reality that you've been telling yourself in your head that is negative, that is all about shame and guilt, but the reality that this is how it is, and I can move forward and do things differently in a way that actually enables me to feel and function better. And this is about you really choosing, I suppose, peace over perfection, reclaiming joy without attaching your worth to your performance. So that just means, in simple terms, like running a 5K race, right? And not caring about how long it takes or what your finish time is. But just because you enjoy the camaraderie, say it's a park run, and you want to enjoy the whole ambience of being there and being with other people doing the same thing, of feeling your body moving. And once you can accept that you don't have to be better than, you don't have to beat your previous time. You don't have to beat the person who started on the line next to you. You can let yourself actually enjoy pleasure, just for the fun of it, just for the sake of it, right? Is that feeding your ego? Absolutely not. Is it nourishing your mind, your emotional and physical and spiritual and mental well-being all in one go? Yeah, absolutely it is. Because if we are always trying to outchase, outrun, compare, need validation from somebody else, we are always going to be in a state of never allowing ourselves to fully let our guard down, always kind of being alert and ready. And this is why I believe we have got such an epidemic of people living in a state of chronic anxiety. And hence we've got so many issues with various different illnesses and diseases that if you look back at the stats from, say, 50 years ago, they're just the amount of growth is just ridiculously fast. Why? Because of the way that we now believe that we have got to be constantly setting goals, performing, getting better than. I was talking to a client recently who was sharing about how he likes to tinker around with graphics and was putting together some stuff for a website, and he was building it himself and having fun. right? Having fun creating the graphics until he looked at a friend's work who is actually doing this work as a job, right? And he compared his stuff to theirs. And what was a joyful and exciting and fun experience then became something that he now felt pressurized to improve on. And it just sapped all of the joy out of it. You may have heard this as well from people who, and my daughter's a good example, who absolutely enjoys baking. And she's really good at it, to the extent that people said, you know what, you ought to set this up as a business. And as soon as there is the pressure on to make every single thing she produces perfect and it turn out a certain way, and one specific type of product look exactly the same as the next and the next, the pressure took away all of the enjoyment. And it was a big no, right? She's savvy enough to go, no, not doing that. She made that mistake when it came to makeup. She wanted to be a makeup artist, but when she actually started to do that as a job, it took away all of the fun and all of the joy. When she took off the pressure and just went back to trying out new looks for herself and creating specific looks, say for Halloween or whatever, or for Christmas, that's when she just loved it for the sake of doing it. Did it provide joy? Yes. Did it provide a sense of relaxation, a sense of being able to tune into her own creativity? Absolutely. Did it have to be perfect? No. But if she decided she was going to do a photo shoot for it, then again, it took away some of that pressure. And so what I want you to think about is, what are you doing on a daily basis that is just for the fun of it, is just for the pleasure of it? Because as humans, we need this stuff. We need to have these moments where we are nourishing our body, our mind, and our soul. It's almost like an act of rebellion in today's obsessed with results culture. But it starts with the awareness of, why am I doing this thing that I'm telling myself I must, I should, I have to, I ought to do? And could I accept that actually I can just do it because it's enjoyable and it's fun? And equally, I can choose not to do it and find something else that will tick the box, that will allow me to find joy just because I want to do something that gives me joy. And it's not selfish, and it's not weird, and it's not big-headed. It's about you telling yourself, I am enough. I am deserving to just do this thing. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent by anybody else's standards or even my own, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. Because then you can stop fighting with yourself. Then you can take the pressure off. You can reclaim a sense of joy without attaching it to performance and to worth. Because you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify pleasure. And you don't have to compete to deserve your own life. If people don't like what you're doing, let them not like it. It's okay. If you're enjoying it, that's the most important thing. So I'm going to ask you this question. When you're kind of being aware of why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe you're struggling with that question, maybe ask yourself this: would I still be doing this if no one ever saw and no one ever praised me for it? Because that then gives you a clue as to, am I doing this to prove something to myself or to other people, to prove that I am good enough? And then, am I actually enjoying it? Is it giving me what I hope it would? Because if it's not, I'm inviting you to give yourself permission to stop. Stop doing it and to find something else that you can do just for fun, just because it feels good. Because I genuinely believe it is time that you were a rebel, that you stopped buying into this performance and results-driven culture. Because if we can all do that with certain things, I'm not saying with everything, I think we absolutely need to be inspired and utilize certain dreams and goals to help us to grow. But there are other areas in our lives where we can give ourselves permission to just go, do you know what? I'm doing it just because I enjoy it. And not feel guilty. It's not a waste of time. It is actually giving you something that no money can buy. A sense of nourishing body, mind, and soul. And you are deserving. And you are worth it. I hope you have found something in what I've shared today helpful. And I hope that you can start practicing just doing something just because it feels good, not because you should, and not because you want to prove anything to anybody. And on that note, I would like to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up. Pass this on to somebody who you think may find it helpful. And I'll leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life, as far as we know, and one body. So please look after it, because it is looking after you. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.